I really feel like Republicans and our party, the conservative movement, knows how to mess things up. For the first time in history, we have been on the offensive for the last few weeks, where we had a surging candidate, we had the other side flailing, not knowing what to do, and then again, we go back and just let that go. We take our win and then we soil it because we can't seem to get along. I don't get along with all Republicans because, again, I'm a Christian conservative, lean libertarian a little bit. So that means I'm not going to get along with every issue. However, I believe that we can at least coalesce around some issues. And that's why I always talk about having a coalition and a unity ticket with Trump. Well, this week, you have libertarians getting upset because conservatives go after them. You have, rhinos getting upset because Trump goes after them. Now we've made a very contentious right. All the while, the Democrats have no agenda. She's not speaking anywhere, as in being tested on some of the views that she has, and they have pretty much just taken their party over in a coup. And instead of talking about that and talking about the issues and trying to gain momentum, we're infighting as Republicans and conservatives. And that's where we always want to screw things up. Today we're going to talk about just that, how the infighting has got to stop, and we have to build a coalition because we can't win it just being Republicans. We can't just win it being conservatives. We can't just win it being Christians. We can't just win it being libertarians. We have to coalesce and make a ticket. Does that mean we sell out views? No, absolutely not. What it does is you find common denominators, you jump on those common denominators, and you say, this is why we want Trump to win. Let's dive into this today.
Life is a winding road.
Hey guys, welcome to our channel, The Max. Now, today we're going to do a little bit shorter because we're talking one issue. So today is going to be a shorter video, but it's something that I'm pretty passionate about. First off, I want to start off saying this. As a Christian conservative, there's things that I don't like in the stances that some Republicans make. Republicans have come out and have kind of went away from the nuclear family. Some Republicans have kind of went away from the Christian version and the Christ-like way, the true conservative movement of morals and values. Some conservatives, even Trump, is not as staunch on the freedom of 2A as I would be. Now, there's some libertarians that I agree with too. Some of the middle that I agree with too. I love the fact that you have some people that like to push the narrative. I like the fact that we see people like Thomas Massey, Ron Paul, who are not, on the MAGA side, but to be honest with you, they're just as conservative. They just have different views on conservatism. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of rhinos. And to be honest with you, I don't believe Joe Rogan and Elon Musk and some of those guys are true conservatives. I just believe they are so far in the middle to where the Democrats have went so far left that it makes them look for a place to go. You have your RFK supporters who, again, RFK, he is a liberal, but because of the times, his Democrat Party of his father and his grandfather and his family pretty much has been subsided, and that blue dog Democrat base is no longer available. So what we have a modge-podge of people in the middle, center left, center right, and then conservative right. Instead of infighting, why don't we build common denominators there? So why can we not coalesce around a candidate like Trump? So let's go through that. First and foremost, Trump should not be trying to alienate anyone in the party right now. Even though I don't like some of these conservative rhinos that's been around, he has to have their support for this election. We're within 100 days of election. And the last thing I think he needs to do, even though Kemp needs to be gone from Georgia, even though Raffensperger needs to be gone from Georgia, he needs to calm the rhetoric down and not be so overly critical of them right now. Hit on some issues, but then go back to the common denominator that we want America first, that we want a sovereign border, that we want freedom. If we start alienating, there's going to be some people that may like Kemp over Trump. And so therefore, are we pushing people away from Trump? Now, this goes to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan didn't endorse. He came out and made sure he didn't endorse, but he did come out and say, I like Kennedy, I like what he stands for, blah, 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 blah. Now, does that mean Joe Rogan's endorsing Kennedy? I mean, honestly, no, but did we ever think Joe Rogan would be a true conservative and he's going to endorse DeSantis? No. The parties went so far left that his individualism, his libertarianism, his independence has moved to where he is a friend to conservatives. That doesn't make him a conservative, but it makes him a voice for us. Elon Musk, a voice for us. Not that they're conservatives, but they're voices for us. They're friends of conservatives. But when we all of a sudden blast them because they say good words about other people, what it does is alienate the multi-millions that watch them each and every day, that support them each and every day. So when we talk rhinos, like Republicans who have been establishment, when we talk independents like Kennedy or Gabbard or Musk or Rogan, when we talk conservatives, Christian conservatives, the Franklin Grahams, the DeSantises, the people like us that are completely motivated to be true conservative core Christians. And then we talk MAGA, who wants America first. Maybe not as much Christ-centered, but as just American-centered. Again, good policies. All 4 or 5 groups of that do not get along in every aspect. But instead of throwing rocks and stones at each other, why don't we find common denominators? And this is where Trump should do better. This is not criticism, but this is just saying, let's change the game plan. Because you're running against a person who literally has no agendas listed, who actually has changed her position on literally every issue, and no one's calling her hand at it. Who is loved by the media, because remember, we're not fighting Kamala, we're fighting a media system and a government system that is way bigger than just one side. You're fighting the world and the way that globalists push. So you can't win by infighting with independents, with libertarians, with conservative Christians, or even with establishment. Yes, we don't bend a knee to gain more people in our circle. Trump should not change policies to impact or influence, to sell out, basically. But what he should do is say, look, I don't get along with everything that conservatives or libertarians or freedom-minded people or the Project 25 people or the rhinos stand for. But what we do get along on is sovereign borders, safe schools, safe cities for our families, making sure that we put American business and American exceptionalism first, making sure that we keep freedoms for 1A, 2A rights, and make sure that we want the economy better where groceries and gas are cheap. When we talk those issues, everybody in this circle gets along. We may not see eye to eye on everything, but we get along on those things. Now, as a Christian, there's a lot of things that I don't like about how the party is moving Christless. I feel like we're honoring things that shouldn't be honored. I want the nuclear family to be first and foremost. I love the fact that Roe got overturned. Now, does everybody in the party see that the same way? Probably not. That doesn't change the fact that I'm going to sell out or change my views for them. But at the same time, I realize that just Christian conservatives cannot win this election alone. Just establishment Republicans cannot win alone. Just the independents and libertarians, they've tried it with third parties, cannot win it alone. So therefore, here's the solution. Just straight out, no one probably cares about my solution, but this is the solution. Trump comes in and he says, we're not going to alienate anybody anymore. Here's my values and core beliefs. I respect each one of you having your own, but here's what we're going to do. I'm not going to just stand up for freedom and liberty for just one of you, but I'm going to stand up for freedom and liberty for everyone. I'm also going to put people in power to make the environment of the economy better, the environment of freedom better. So does that mean he agrees with a full ban on abortion? No, he's already said he doesn't, but he put the environment into where conservatives can make their own decision based on states. That's what I want. Because if I'm part of a state that believes in traditional marriage, pro-life stances, then therefore I'm part of a thing that Trump did, that even though Trump didn't agree with every aspect of what I did, he made the environment good for me to have those beliefs. It's like, for instance, I'm a huge Massey and Paul fan. Now, Massey and Paul are definitely more libertarian and definitely more versions of a gold standard and making sure that America first is first and foremost. However, they don't get along with Trump because of maybe some stances that he has. Well, why don't we find the common denominator and say, well, everything about borrowing money is bad. Everything about the Fed is bad. Everything about higher inflation is bad. So that's where that common denominator of that libertarian, that Austrian economics view of things could go along with what MAGA believes and what Trump believes. The establishment. I want all of them out. I cannot stand the establishment of the Rhino Republicans. I feel like all they do is talk and actually nothing gets done. They grandstand. However, we need their support. So why don't you say, okay, let's gather together all the governors and let's find common denominators again. Everybody wants safe borders. Everybody wants a better economy. Everybody wants a balanced budget when it comes to Republicans. Hit on those things. Talk about the things that matter with them. Now, Trump didn't sell out on any situation to make everybody get along. What he did is he brought the group together under one goal: safety, security, the border, and economy, and making sure we're building a safer America and a better America. Now, how to attract the independents? People like the Rogans, people like the Musk, people like Tulsi. Well, first of all, when Rogan came out, everybody went against him on that. Remember, Rogan is not a Republican. However, he's a friend of Republicans. What I would do if I was Trump's advisor, I would say, look, you need to sit down with a podcast with him and you need to go over every little thing. Then, before that podcast actually happened, me and RFK would have a meeting, and RFK, along with Trump, would develop a strategy. Because what's happening now, if we keep alienating our base, RFK is going to get stronger. He's not going to win, but what he's going to do is pull enough votes away from the Republican side, the conservative side, the Trump side, to make Kamala win. You realize 5 to 10% of what RFK gets, 5 or 10% of that, majority of those people would probably vote for Trump if Trump and RFK could work out some kind of agreement. I would offer him whatever cabinet position he wanted. I'd offer him an advisory role if he wanted that. I'd offer him anything and everything other than selling out my views to bring him into a coalition with myself. That would attract Blue Dog Democrats, independents, libertarians, and then again, of course, the whole conservative movement. Now, does that mean we had to bend our goals and our values to attract new people? No. What it did is we're building a common sense approach to the basis of principles to make sure that we can have freedoms still. And with those freedoms, we can choose to be who we want to be in those groups. So if I was Trump, there's no way I would not be not meeting with libertarians. There's no way I would not be meeting with conservatives. There's no way I would not be meeting with rhinos. There's no way I would not be meeting with anyone on the independent side or the Blue Dog Democrat side. I would have a meeting every day with Manchin, with RFK, but then I'd also meet with DeSantis, and I'd meet with Dave Smith, the libertarian. I'd meet with Massey, but then I'd turn around and meet with Franklin Graham. What you're doing is you're building a coalition not around single issues, but around the issues that matter that will bring freedom. Long as we preach freedom, long as we preach security and border safety, long as we preach safe cities, an education system that's not broken, all people will agree with that. And then when we give people the freedom and when we get elected, it allows for the states to make their best decision possible, like we did with Roe, like we would do with 2A rights, that each state can make their decision. Well, more conservative states will lead more conservative. More libertarian states will lead more libertarian. More rhino states or, centered states would lead more centered. But they would have the freedom to do that under this administration if Trump would build that coalition that we talked about. Instead of the infighting between special, big influencers to where one conservative doesn't like this MAGA doesn't like this rhino doesn't like this independent. Instead of the infighting, we should learn to grow together and say, you know what? Even though we don't get along on traditional marriage, or we don't get along on Roe, or we don't get along on how the gold standard versus modern monetary theory, which I think is stupid. You should go back to gold standard. But it may be a balanced budget. Maybe we shouldn't end the Fed. Maybe we should. But if we get together and say, okay, we can find that we need a better economy no matter which way you think about it, if we start building a better environment for businesses to grow, it will automatically fix itself. That's the benefit. I believe in traditional marriage. Well, do you believe Kamala and Walsh will give us that? I believe in Roe being overturned. Will you believe that other side will do that? I believe in freedom of speech. Will you believe that they're going to hold that deer on the Harris side? No. So instead of infighting and causing a loss on the Trump side, maybe we should start working together and start pushing towards one goal: beating the other side. And when we beat the other side, we can work on the little indifferences on our side. But if we keep infighting 100 days before this election and the other side doesn't even have an agenda, has not even held accountable for some of the things in this own administration that she's part of, we keep infighting, we're bringing attention to ourselves and screwing ourselves over and watching ourselves lose this election. That's my thoughts for the day. Trump needs better advisors. He needs the 2016 Trump to come back and quit trying to be this either person to alienate the base or this person who wants to push against the establishment only. He needs to build the coalition and say, you know what? I don't get along with everything that Graham and Wicker are doing, or McConnell, but I do need their support. However, I'm not going to sell out to you and you're not going to take advantage of me. However, I may not agree with complete conservatism and Christian views like Colby believes in. However, I need his vote. I'm not going to believe in everything that Thomas Massey or Ron Paul says, but I love their thoughts on the economy, so I'm going to bring them in. I might not believe everything that RFK says because he has some crazy, quirky views on some things, but when it comes to freedoms and the thoughts of medical advice and legal, he's a great advocate for that. So then you find the highlights of people, you find the commonality of people where they just want freedom, where they want safe borders, where they want a better economy. You work towards those goals. When you work towards those goals, more people will follow you and then be willing to support you versus the other side when they have no agenda plans, when they see Minneapolis burning down, when they see the fact that their schools are unsafe, the border's unsafe, then you come out like a shining light. We were looking absolutely strong right after the debate. And then again, now this starts and here we are messing ourselves over. Give me your thoughts. I want conservatism to win. I want the right to win. I want the Republicans to win. I want to see a better America. That doesn't mean that I believe everything that's happening with the right side is a good thing. But I do believe that we have the best friends that we can have in our own circle versus allowing Kamala to win this thing. We have to quit infighting. We have to focus on one goal, and that goal is to beat Kamala, bring up the tensions of the problems that she's caused, stick to 4 to 5 major player issues for the Republicans that 80% of the Republicans will agree with, and that's the economy, border, safe schools, safe cities for our families, and making sure that we stick to freedom. You do that, we'll win in a landslide. Give me your thoughts. Also, remember, if you like this video, share it. It means the world to me when you share. And if you can give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you like it. We give something away each and every month. And it means the world to me that you did that. Thank you so much for watching. God bless.